Digital labor and affect in relation to advertising in the digital. You may wonder why I'm going to speak about digital labor and effective labor, or why would it be relevant to you or the advertising industry. Digital or material labor refers to the production of knowledge, information, ideas, cultural products, social relations, and much more. It can create data that can be sold to advertisers like you for a more targeted advert. Effective labor relates to the idea that as human beings, we relate to content that produces an emotional experience in ourselves. In other words, as a creative director, you want to create an emotional experience for your audience, as well as present the best of what you're advertising. In the first part of this presentation, I'll discuss the creation of an advert through the understanding of the audience, the concept of the social factory, and effective labor. To briefly explain the sale of digital labor, we will focus on Facebook as more than just a social platform. Facebook is free. Most of the revenue comes from targeted ads. How do you create a targeted ad if you don't know your target? Well, because Facebook is a sharing social media platform, its users reveal themselves creating data that is anything but physical. Facebook users are unpaid workers. As humans, we need social interactions, which is facilitated by social media. On your wall, you could talk about your passion for cooking, which would create a discussion in the comment section. This discussion will lead to sharing of ideas, projects, and discoveries that are thus used to create an audience profile and content. This leads to my next point. Social media is another form of labor alongside the careers of users. The concept of social factory emerged in Italy in the 60s as the government realized that the workers had lives outside the factory that influenced their work. Nowadays, the social factory encompasses the idea of taking care of ourselves outside of our work, but mostly investing time in our own skills and culture. An easy example is speaking multiple languages. Probably is not a requirement for most jobs, but having that skill will set you apart from other applicants. Here in the advertising industry, feeding our curiosity and culture is fundamental. Knowledge of pop culture and classics will help the ads you create resonate with your audience. In 2012, Young Von Mack created this advert for Lego. At first glance, it looks like simple 4x4 colorful stacks, but they actually represent characters of famous TV series, movies, and comics. Here we have Asterix and Obelix, The Simpsons, South Park, and Ernie and Bert. Depending on where the audience is from and their age, they might not get all of these characters, but the wide range of media inspiration proves the team had various point of views. The team probably already had ideas of characters due to the fact that they consume media outside of their work. Alongside research, they created an advertising campaign that resonated with them and their audience. This is where affects come into play. As defined by Hart and Negri in their 2009 Multitude, effective labor is labor that produces or manipulates affects, such as feeling of ease, well-being, satisfaction, excitement, or passion. It is evident that in the sales industry, a smile can go a long way. For the advertising industry, it's a bit more complex. It is easy to create a pamphlet to advertise a product, but what makes a great advert is the emotional link your audience will feel. To illustrate my point, we will briefly look at the Volvo adverts. In 2017 and 2020, the agency Forsman and Bodenfors worked with the automobile brand to create ads that influenced the audience and their public emotions. Both have the theme of safety, family, and advertise the car's features. Both adverts show how as humans we can be flawed at the danger of being inattentive behind the wheel. The characters portrayed are members of families with hopes and futures that shouldn't be stripped from them. Volvo can that way advertise the car's features while tugging on emotional strings. In other terms, an audience will be more inclined into buying what you advertise if they experience an emotion and relate to the advert. We have just discussed digital labor in the context of creating an advert, but we also need to acknowledge the other side of digital labor. In the second part, we will look at the multi-level marketing, the gig economy, and precarity. Multi-level marketing, or MLM, is based on a reward mechanism. When you buy from an MLM, you are offered to promote the products as well as make a small reward based on what others have bought from your referral. The goal is for more and more people to buy and refer to others. In our digital and COVID era, we have seen an increase in multi-level marketing schemes as it's easy to join and helps make extra money. The issue of MLM is that you need to earn and sell to make value for your investment, which isn't always a guarantee. These are not the jobs an agency would typically work on, but you might work for a brand that does use this kind of marketing, and understanding it is fundamental. The gig economy is a labor market force that focuses on freelance work and short-term contracts. Our digital age has been facilitating this kind of labor through digital platforms such as Deliveroo, Fiverr, Uber, etc. The gig economy has a lot of advantages. More flexible work hours, the laborer can choose how, when, and where to work. It's an easy task force to join as you only need to apply online and hope to get work. Most of the work in the gig economy is considered precarious as it lacks stability and security. Workers are not guaranteed fair pay and worker protection. They also don't have access to help such as maternity and sick leave or holiday pays. Due to the nature of the gig economy, most aren't seen as employees of the company, but as freelancers or contractors working under their own rules. Alongside the lack of benefits, these workers also ensure about getting work and thus lack the guarantee of a paycheck. Gig workers also tend to work for multiple gigs to try and reach a livable wage. As Angela McRobbie says, insecurity is seen as part of the adventure. The insecurity gig workers face can feel adventurous at first, but creates a lot of precarity. If you create an ad for one of those companies, please be aware of the precarity workers face. This is all part of the digital economy and labor. For an agency creative director, it's fundamental to be aware of the issues surrounding the digital, but also how to use it to your advantage and to get the most of our digital era. Thank you.